Peace and abundance, family. MJ the Mastermind back. So listen, you think your thoughts control how you feel, don't you? Welcome. Most people think their thoughts control how they feel, but neuroscience shows something surprising. So listen, y'all, today we're talking about how our physiology affects our frequency. Okay? How our physiology affects our frequency. And what today you're going to learn is how you can control your frequency by controlling your physiology, by controlling your body. Okay? Listen, I'm going to show you a ridiculously simple hack today that you can impact your frequency, your energy, and your vibration at any moment. All right? And this is a hack that you can implement at any moment. Really simple. You probably do it now, but you don't realize. All right? All right, so let's jump into it. All right? So we all know that the brain is connected to our mind and our body is connected to our mind as well. Right? When you think about your nervous system, when you think about just the system of the human body, like everything is connected. It's very intelligently designed. All right? Now, our body affects our mind affects our body, all right? So there's a couple concepts I want to mention here. One is embodied cognition, right? Your mind is not separate from your body. The body informs the brain on how to feel, okay? So a simple example of this is our posture, okay? So, like, you can really make yourself feel bad by your posture, or you can make yourself feel good by your posture, and in general, like just how your shoulders, your facial expression, different things, right? And one example of this is there's a very famous study on power posing. Okay, so this is research from Amy Cuddy from Harvard on power posing, right? So she talks about how, it's called like the Superman pose. So if you stand up, hips on shoulders, chest out, shoulders back, chin slightly up. What happens physiologically is testosterone increases, cortisol decreases, people feel more confident, and risk tolerance increases. Okay? So this is a very famous study. So one of the things that I want y'all to start doing is paying more attention to your physiology, okay? Paying more attention to your physiology and your posture, right? When you get up in the morning, feel good, and put that feeling good energy into your body as well, okay? And when we talk about feeling good, let's define that. What does feeling good actually mean, right? Because when you have a better understanding, you can create that more, right? So there's actual neurochemicals in our body that affect how we feel, right? So when we're expressing different emotions, there's something happening in our bodies actually chemically, right? So it's actually happening on a physical level, all right? So our dopamine, right? There's dopamine, which affects your motivation and reward. Serotonin, which affects your mood stability. Endorphins, which affect your pleasure and pain relief. Oxytocin, which affects your connection and safety. Right? Now, these chemicals change your thoughts, your perception, and your emotional tone. Okay? Which really is your internal state. Right? And we all know how important our internal state is. Our internal state literally affects everything, right? Because that's a representation of our dominant frequency and vibration. Okay? And this is why also exercise is so important, because exercise changes your physiology, right? It changes the chemicals that are being expressed in your body, because when you exercise and you activate the body, what happens is it increases endorphins, it increases dopamine, it increases oxygen to the brain, and it improves your mood regulation. All right? Now, exercise is a huge part of I'm sure you could tell. I'm sure you could tell. You know what I'm saying? We give a quick little, flex real quick. But exercise is super, super important, right? Not only because of the physical benefits, but also the emotional benefits and the internal state benefits, right? Especially for men, right? Because if you're a healthy male and you have the ability to exercise, you should be in the gym consistently just because of what it does to your confidence, your testosterone, mood regulation. Like, as a man, you have to be able to regulate your emotions and regulate your mood, because you have to make decisions that affect other people. Especially if you're leading a household, you're protecting and you're providing, as what all men at some point in time experience in life. All right. Now, so I haven't gotten to the hack yet. So if you made it this far in the video, keep staying tuned, because I'm gonna simplify this for you guys. All right. So things to keep in mind, on our other video, when I talked about identity, I talked about the importance of, maintaining your breath as well, right? And how, your breathing affects your awareness, and how your awareness affects your thoughts, and how your thoughts affect your reality ultimately. Now, breathing is a part of this as well, right? Because when you're breathing correctly, it naturally raises your frequency as well. So when we combine these things, right? When we're combining these things, where you're breathing correctly, but you also have the right posture, right? And then you also naturally feel good, y'all. Like, you can make yourself feel good. You can control your emotions, right? Your body affects that, your thoughts affect that, but there's something internally to where, I don't know if it's just me, but I know that I could turn a feeling on without thought, without physiology. Maybe it's just a muscle that I've developed. I don't know if anybody else could do it, but I'm pretty sure you can. You can make yourself feel good, right? You could just, it's like a natural enthusiasm that we could turn on. It's just like a natural enthusiasm for life, right? But we want to pay attention to these things throughout the day, because this is what is affecting our frequency on a subconscious level. Okay? Now, here's the hack, right? The most simplest hack that you can affect your frequency, your energy, and vibration at any point in time is smiling, y'all. Smiling. And I'll tell you, if you can combine all of these things and smile, man, you'll be at peak frequency, right? So if the body influences the brain, then we can reverse engineer our emotional state. Okay? It doesn't matter if you don't even know what you're smiling for. It doesn't matter what you don't even have to have a reason to smile. Once you start smiling, you just naturally start feeling good. And we talked about what feeling good means, right? The chemicals in our body move, right? And it raises our frequency on an unseen level, right? Because obviously we can't see, most people can't see frequency, energy, and vibration, right? But there's things that are happening in the unseen world, things that our eyes just can't see, right? The fourth dimension, the fifth dimension. Okay? So when you're smiling, there's actually a book that talks about aura and things like that. I actually have to read it myself. It was recommended to me. I read some of it, but it talks about how, like, our thoughts and the way that we feel, it's actually a physical layer. Like, it's part of our aura on an electromagnetic level. All right? But let's get back to the hack. Smiling, right? Because what happens when you smile? Facial muscles activate emotional circuits in the brain. Dopamine increases, serotonin increases, mood improves naturally, right? So the brain literally thinks, if I'm smiling, something must be good. Something must be good happening, all right? Now, what happens when you're just doing this continuously, throughout the day? You just have these micro smiles, right? Now, you start to interrupt these negative thought loops, right? And we've talked about this, right? 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of the thoughts you had yesterday are the same thoughts you had today. So in order to interrupt these consistent thoughts that are leaving us in the same reality, we need to start to interrupt these patterns, these thought patterns. And one of the ways that you could do that is by smiling. Smile, get that smile off, use that. All right. Now, it interrupts the thought loops, right? And Vadim talks about pendulums. If you're new here, I guess I got to start referencing things because I don't know. So many. So Vadim Zeland, the author of Reality Transurfing, talks about the idea of pendulums, which are these thought energies that can sometimes attach to our subconscious mind and cause thoughts that are not in alignment with our ideal selves. Okay? And sometimes we get these negative thoughts. Everybody has negative thoughts, right? But one of the ways that you can interrupt these negative thoughts is by smiling, right? So this is another way that we can, take back control from the pendulums that may attach. Okay? Now, this shifts you to more humor, gratitude, enthusiasm, right? All things on the higher frequency plane, right? Now, this hack, literally, I used to use this consistently, right? It's something that I was thinking about today that I know that I got to personally get back to. So I'm sharing it with y'all. Of course. So, especially in the morning, it's very, very important, y'all. When you first wake up, just start smiling. Just start smiling, right? Because you'll start your day with more positive thoughts, and that's going to carry out through the rest of your day, right? So just smile, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, me too. I gotta, this is a self-reminder as well, all right? Stand up straight, posture right, smile, affirmations, the whole nine. When we can combine all of these principles, oh man, you become unstoppable. All right? Y'all, so listen, physiology affects frequency. Remember to breathe correctly. Remember to smile. Just remember to smile, y'all. If you could do that one hack, just smile more, you'll naturally start thinking better. You'll start doing better. You'll start raising that frequency, that energy, that vibration. And, the results in your life will start to change, man. And, this is just one small change that you can make. It's an extremely high return on investment. If you ask me, it may have the highest return on investment of all other things that you can do, because it's something that you can do so quickly. Like within less than a second, you could smile, but that's shifting your whole frequency, right? So out of all things that you could do, smiling might be the best, in my opinion, because it's so easy to do. All right, y'all. Man, I'm gonna sign out. I love y'all, man. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. New subscribers, man. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. My job is done. All right. Love y'all. Peace and abundance. Until the next one.